plenty more reps, but one that has reps in Tier 1 and one that has been stuck in the Tier 2 system. This is going to be the first test, really, of the 2026 system. And if Eternal Fire, a Tier 2 team, can prove to be successful in a gauntlet of Tier 1.
As you say, that GX roster now together for over 200 days and looking to take another trophy in the off-season, as they did a year ago in Paris for Spotlight. They're still here in spirit, but it starts with a tough ask. Eternal Fire have the best pistol round win rate in the competition, sitting at an 83%.
Already the knife destroyed, so presence shown from GiantX. But how many is the answer? With all the audibles starting to be heard now, Eternal Fire have a good idea. And well, site almost taken, but denied, forced back. The players now starting to come through. Cloud seen, and well, that spike down.
Oh yeah, Eternal Fire have numbers here, Cairo. They've managed to shut it all down. Spear with 3. The Desk talked about it. Now Westside needs a few more Headhunter bullets to get through this. Just 3. And 4 targets.
Players all low though, that's the big thing here. Unfortunately though, Spear has got a 4K on the round. An excellent start from him. An excellent start for Eternal Fire to get things going.
Yeah, the youngest player in the server, only 18 years of age, but as the Desk was saying, Spear definitely one to watch for the future. I wouldn't completely agree that he's bound for VCT immediate. Still a lot of learning to be done, as this was only his rookie year in Challengers. But that's the biggest talking point about Eternal Fire, the experience that they've now brought into this roster. Perhaps not on some of the bigger stages, but even when you look across the board, Skylan and Sturban spending plenty of time within the region. Plenty on Spear's plate in this round, though, as GX are looking to send this eco with some velocity towards B.
Yeah, and it is Spear's site, who is well equipped to deal with this, considering it's a Vandal in his hands rather than just a mere Bulldog or the like. Stunned up, sure, taking a bit of damage, but that spike will go down, can't deny it.
Skylan in, does find one onto Westside though, and it is a 5 versus 3, of course. Eternal Fire favoured from this position.
Seems as if Skyland does have an idea. Sturban being put on notice about the position. At least there's a trade. So onto the spike they go. A grav pull, a grav well, but realistically it's only a momentary delay because the players are straight back on the spike and dealing with any issues that they possibly got. This utility spot on. Skyland now committed to the spike, and I mean, yeah, it's 1 kill. I think that's all it's going to be, is there's no more salvos for Cloud. And that's the strength of GX's comp. It's the post plans.
Yeah, the plan obviously restricted, but they have plenty of delay there, GX, and they'll actually be very happy with how that round concluded, considering Cloud finds an extra kill, which leaves it onto the last 2 members. And to add on to what I was saying about Eternal Fire and the squad that they have here, Sturban specifically, one of the most experienced players in all of Turkish Challengers, hasn't been able to win an event since he was on foot back in 2021. 5 second place finishes since then, 3 of them within the league. Can they do it this time? Here comes the rifle round. Very early pace set by Eternal Fire in A main.
Trying to upset the flow of the attack, and it has been successful so far, but Anima forced away and given up that full of A main. So that's a question mark which GX will have to try and clear later on.
Speaking of questions, Eternal Fire looking for answers in middle. Both sides opening the round with just a single initiator, but Cloud hasn't made too many moves. This is a full 5-player group up, as the defense are really looking to try and gamble towards one side of the map or the other. Heavier focus on A here, as we've seen GX send priorities this way previously, but the spike is headed towards the other side of the map.
Nice mid-round drone. Can Skylan see the players? Oh, he did just at the last moment there. So there is some notice put on this site.
Good information. Skylan already here, supported by Spear. The cam set up and can't play for the retake. Looking to flood back in again between the duo, but the shots just don't land. GX get the better of it and can now move into post.
Yeah, and with all the utility you could possibly want, the Tahoe, the Astra, this should be clear cut and dry as in terms of a post plan.
That it should. GX with all of the insurance policy. Ara looking to play Scorched Earth in the site with Flickless. The first flash teed up. Ara can't find what he's looking for. Izzy does instead. Captain continuing to lead from the front, but time persists to be the biggest issue for Eternal Fire. Sturban's gonna get to work on this first engagement, but the star is already placed, and the fate's settled as far as we're concerned. Not too much more that can be done now by Eternal Fire than hopefully just get out with the guns. Try as they might, Izzy goes down, and Anima's not too far behind, so GX get on the board.
2 rounds, very similar from GiantX, one with success, one without. But if I'm Eternal Fire, I'm already starting to think, how do I stop these post plants? Because it's going to be absolutely hell in a cell to try and get that done. We saw Team Liquid Academy really struggle with this yesterday, and I think the answer to that, Hazza, would have to be mid control. And that's where we put a lot of emphasis on West Side to control that yesterday.
It's interesting. Between these two teams, I feel like with the gunplay, I favor Eternal Fire, but GX on some of their util is just next level. As we said, they've had so much time together, whereas this version of the Eternal Fire lineup, just 3 days of practice in other officials coming in. Sturban is very isolated towards B right now, as we've seen a changing of the guard in terms of where that Sentinel is. Spear relocated towards the A site. And another very passive start from GX, just respecting what it is the defenders are looking to do.
We called this before about Izzy, or at least someone from Eternal Fire, taking control of mid. This jet now very important to how this round goes out, and Izzy, as well as Anima, comes straight into the kill feed, so first 2 kills go the way of the defense.
Another 5 versus 3 for Eternal Fire. They should just be prioritizing now, stopping that spike from going in, but as Grubby drops, that's another set of tools lost, and Cloud isn't too far behind, so a 4th round one here, a 3rd for Eternal Fire with conviction, stopping GX from doubling up in the rifles.
So West Side,
30 seconds
a player
left.
we put importance on for the rest of this map, I think won't be so important here. We'd rather keep that rifle into the next.
I did talk about mechanics on Eternal Fire, but I feel like Westside is probably the exception to that rule. He is a cut above, I think, when it comes to
10
that.
seconds left.
As we know, best headshot percentage in EMEA, but that comes with his style of aiming. Can be feast or famine at times, but he knows it's a target-rich environment around. Just about gets to take one of those fights onto Spear.
That brings him one step closer to the tour de force in the attack. Not in the best position. Pipson not happy with what he's seeing, and I guess we can kind of take a wider talk about Eternal Fire just as a team, as an organisation, right? Because me and you did get a chance to cast them earlier in 2025 when they made their appearance in Challengers EMEA Split 1, and they were the top 2 team. They looked like a competitor to that of BBL Pacific, but since then, Hazza, we didn't really see them start to continue that success.
Yeah, look, the history books will have 2025 down as the year of Turkish domination after plenty of years waiting for that to happen, honestly, in Challengers. We spoke about the misrepresentation before, but they got replaced as the year went on, so that win against Ulf earlier on in the quarterfinals was huge for them. And just sitting 3 points away from qualifying to Ascension, 2nd place in that first stage to BBL Pacific, like you said, they are definitely up there in terms of some of the best that we have. And as an organization as well, you mentioned just the investment into this project, the renewed confidence that they have here is huge. And in players like Izzy too, who I'm still surprised maybe hasn't had that chance to prove himself in the top cut just yet.
I think as well, the way that the scouting has gone, right? More going for the young talent coming up, like your Zeus's and your Levins. But is he having his chance so far this tournament to prove himself? As we look towards B, Izzy has taken control of mid, but this is going to be a very straightforward execute for GX.
Player on site is cooped up in the corner. Is Skyland just waiting to receive GX as They do crest the corner finally into his crosshair, lays down the law as Eternal Fire just keep the ball rolling. This was a mixed investment from GX. Pipson, sorry, having called another very early timeout, which, you know, we hadn't seen him call too many timeouts before, but obviously highlighting that something was wrong here at the start.
Yeah, eco round, we're not expecting that to have too much value post-timeout, and you can see why GX would want to get that spike down as quickly as possible. We saw the eco before that would threaten the second round, didn't end up winning, but it got a little bit, you know, a little bit worrying. So, rifle versus rifle, a lot of light shields for GiantX, and a few bodies dedicated towards mid here.
You're seeing the reveal come in. Hunter's Fury is placed into Link. It inhibits Anima's performance a bit, but is he unperturbed by the situation? Diving deep into enemy lines, and does go punished by Westside.
A spike down, no, that's the biggest issue. So we look at Westside to try and recollect this spike.
Hat off the head means that Westside's position will be revealed, and that just allows Sturban to take the timing. 5-1. Another strong start for Eternal Fire. As much as we lamented Vitality yesterday, you have to give credit to them for how well they began each and every one of those maps in the best of 3.
I agree, but I think you've also got to give credit to Eternal Fire and how quick they're adapting to the game plan right now. I mean, I just called it after that third round win that we saw from GiantX, was that we need to see mid control, or we need to see some more aggressiveness from Eternal Fire to stop, I guess, a very potent post plant. And we look towards this next round with GiantX on a Thrifty, and 5 ultimates available, 1 already used, the Tour de Force.
You can see information from the KO knife on A in the meantime, so Eternal Fire comfortable to walk out behind the cages and challenge this again.
Well, second ultimate used. Flickless is the one to get the kill, and as he walks through Ara, is Stinger getting to work. So we're seeing a clear advantage for GiantX. They're going to invest another ultimate here through the Cosmic Divide, and that post plant, as we've spoken about, is very strong.
Yeah, Teho Annihilation and Breach ult available as well. At the very least, Eternal Fire might want to bait out some of these ults with how strong the post plant is.
That's right. Izzy trying to pop through the Cosmic Divide means that Ara takes his timing. The Classic also working out, and they can't even get the trade. How has he got another? Ara!
Should have been dead.
That's a massive play from him. And I think that's going to be GiantX to win the round. A heavy investment, but one which they'll be happy to walk away with the result of doubling up the round count. GiantX may have just bought themselves a lifeline in this first half.
We saw plenty of ecos traded yesterday between them and Liquid Academy, but GX much the better of it. I have to say, Cairo, it's not the first time we've seen the defense punished for trying to fast flood B and defend from backside. GX, when you mentioned they had been adapted upon, make a decision of their own to keep exploiting this B play that we've seen. And having to repurchase the operator as well very quickly changes the landscape of this when it comes to economy.
See, as he wanted to play around this, a double stack of players. I mean, one operator bullet could go through both.
It's a gamble that he has to make because he doesn't know if window is clear or not. The cam doesn't spot it. Both teams giving each other the utmost respect in this round right now.
But who's going to take the onus of the round? Who's going to go and start to take things on their own terms? It seems like it's going to be GiantX this time round as they move through mid. Westside's operator on the line through onto B-Link.
And again, Anima has deep information on A with that knife, so Eternal Fire are considering the possibility of this B-pop.
Yeah, and this is going to be nice setup, I thought, from the Rolling Thunder, but it misses. Skyline with an opportunity, but can't quite make it work. Spear now on site, has to hold things down, but he can't connect the shots. GiantX, they'll get their post plan.
And into another very strong situation, unless Anima can interrupt, but it isn't clean.
It isn't, and well, you can see Anima still wanting to continue. A player who's usually very aggressive in his positioning. But it's Sterben to come back in. Now 1 versus 3, not a whole lot of utility. Flickless is the one shoulder peeking, and Sterben did just catch him. And with 1 star to work with, how can he get across? Yeah, I think this is going to be almost impossible. Would rather opt to save his weapon and keep himself alive for the next one. GiantX up to 3 now.
They lose the op on Izzy as well, so it's a very costly round for Eternal Fire. Should be ecoing on the next. Sterben actually realizes that his position is compromised. It's the correct play, as Westside would have had him dead to rights. And looking at this as well, you can see Eternal Fire are making the right decisions. They understand that they do need to be fighting to repossess mid-control later in the round because of these post-plants from GiantX. Anima attempting the flank, but he's left all alone in the end. And so GX starting to get back into this game now.
I wouldn't doubt the sheriffs of Eternal Fire just yet. We'll put it as that GX do have the advantage, but once again, Izzy being donated that Phantom. He now begins to walk down mid, and nobody challenging this position at all.
When does Izzy look to make his move, or will GX make it for him? Flickless was thinking about things, and they are aware of these gaps. The timing's on the drone there for Izzy to find the kill and the follow-up. Nearly a third, as the bullet is a whisker away from Ara, who dives in to reclaim the spike, but that's about it.
Yeah, and he wastes key pieces to try and grab it. There's going to be no refract, there's going to be no dash, so wherever GiantX try to hit, they have to make it stick.
Eternal Fire, with this in mind, begin to go through their own list of protocols, get Izzy back out on B, and just support the side of the map which has been under the most pressure so far. GX are looking for an A finish here if possible, and Ara has managed to bridge the gap at the very least with the spike on his back.
That's the big point here, but you can see already Izzy investigating B main. There is that player though working through mid Sterben. Not Sterben, apologies. Grubinho. And to see how much value he can get from his point.
If Eternal Fire do want to retake, they have ults available. Cosmic Divide invested, just saving the null command for now. With how strong GX's post-plants have been, it's going to be important. But still, the round is not yet won. Westside in play with an operator by his side. Ara as well. 2 clean kills, but just unable to make anything more of the situation. They go 2 for 2, and that allows Eternal Fire to get their 6th on another Thrifty.
I said it, don't doubt the sheriffs, but it wasn't really the sheriff, right? It was Izzy's Phantom down mid, his timing impeccable. And the fact that he provided issues that GiantX had to try and solve. Yeah, I mean, fantastic stuff. And again, it's mid what's most important. And GiantX haven't really dealt with that problem. So we can see here, you look at the map, and there's players, I guess more so Cloud, dedicated to this spot.
Yeah, Cloud has been here for the last few rounds though. I think more than anything else, it's just the passivity from GX at the barrier drop. Their meta read right now, where their previous one relied on a lot of early utility usage, seems to be to just respect what it is that Eternal Fire are doing and then make a decision off the back of it. But that hasn't really worked the couple of times that we've seen the defense choose to get more active. There is a fine line between that, of course, and overheating. GX know it and have been able to punish a couple of those.
So, a drone traded from either team, one from the Sova and one from the Tejo, but one from either side that doesn't garner much information. This is a well-stocked A site, a lot of Cypher utility, a couple of Astra stars.
It gets to a point now as well where Spear should start to worry about the possibility of a flank coming in through middle, as GX did make that a priority early. Sterben forced to fight, but Westside from an elevated position will drop him into the abyss. The corpse falls 40 stories as the spike goes in.
Usually the team with the advantage in the post plant is the one to win, whether that's retaking or holding. So right now, GiantX probably favourites to win this round.
But that's where the KO ult comes in, and Eternal Fire put a high priority on winning this round. Westside elevated position still gives him a potential angle into security here. He's yet to be asked of as it's Flickless going 1-for-1. Miss shot off Izzy means that Ara can then follow things up. And with that, it is looking secure for GX. Izzy looking to escape with the operator, but Cloud is a couple steps ahead, as GX have been in this round. The gap reduced to 2 as the attack is back on track.
That it is. Very well played by GiantX, and I think it's been a very simple game of Valorant in the sense that when it comes to the game, we've not really seen much in terms of upsets, right, in the rounds. It doesn't really matter in terms of weaponry, but numbers-wise, whoever's in front tends to win the round. And already, Eternal Fire still feeling the hurt of this economy.
The First Bloods have been such a big factor, especially for Izzy, as the op has found its way back in play despite the finances which inhibit Eternal Fire right now.
Operator to hold down mid by Ara as the drone once again looks to check and make sure that there's no one that could catch them off guard from top mid. Yeah,
this is the first time we see GX actually go for the top mid insert on Ara. He has a very strong position here to cut off rotations.
It's not just an insert, has it? It looks like it's to be a full take as there's 3 other players alongside. Anima with a very deep line.
Clout just letting Eternal Fire know as GX now start to move towards B with Grubby coming up late from main. It's on the player's link and they've done a great job at sending Eternal Fire from this site. Grubby there to pick up the pieces. One of the best rounds we've seen from them so far, but for Eternal Fire, they didn't exactly... Well, I say they don't come in with much. There was an op bot, but still a couple of pistols. The pistol's the ones in the firing line, and that makes all the difference.
So with Anima's Guardian and Izzy's Operator, it looks like there will be a save call brought in. I think most interestingly coming into this Abyss, both teams trended about 65% win rate on either side, which is like, well, I mean, a shake of the hand, right? And looks like we could be heading into a 7-5/6-6 half. A couple of kills going either way at the moment, so it won't be a flawless round.
What this initial buy, though, tells me is that Eternal Fire are very assured of what their win conditions are, and that comes from Izzy being the in-game leader as the duelist. It's a lot easier for him to set that up from the defender's side than it will be when they move over towards the attack. In terms of what his calling style is, if it's more of the pre-round, because as I said, he's not a player who has been to VCT recently, but he does have that history with Supermassive. You know, 4 years ago, Masters Berlin attended there as one of the first Turkish teams to go to a global event. He's been around the block. It's just crazy that he's still, what, only 24?
Man, I feel like so old sometimes, though, right? When I see stuff like this happening. I mean,
you're 25, so...
I'm 26.
Oh, well, I'm 25. Never mind. I don't even know Mojo's birthday. It's fine, mate. Take the compliment.
Thank you. Definitely don't look it, I'll tell you that. And right now, this round doesn't look like there's much happening. Both teams happy to just chill. Cloud, though, has just seen the Operator and knows that the Jet has knives. Did he get more information than that, though? Did he see the KO? There's a head just been seen by Grubinho as well. So that picture now starting to find definition, starting to have the details that GX need to make decisions.
First time we've seen the KO knife committed to mid to garner that extra information as well as the owl drone. So Eternal Fire very clear on what their priorities are here. Cypher setup on A, kill trips available, but the stack is in the wrong place and not for the first time.
Well, Spear will have to give up the site, which he's happy to do so. And you see those trips, those are kill trips. They know exactly what they need, but you look at where the ultimate's checked up. That's a problem. Ara now missing his opportunity to actually take the heaven space off of the stunt. So Spike goes down, and it's 5 versus 5.
Very quick flood back here from Eternal Fire, though. Spear caught in the crosshairs. Can't find what he was looking for. And the aftershock is opportune from Flickless because it's managed to stop that initial wave coming back in from the defender's side.
And this post plant now looks even more set up with Westside holding Heaven, Ara holding CT, and the trades looking great! GX look to trade things out 6-6, but North Sterben can provide something magical. It won't be the case. So we're all leaving, heading into the second half of map number 1.
Yeah, it's unfortunate Eternal Fire aren't able to build on their initial success. 4 out of the opening 5, and then settling for 6 coming out of the side switch. Felt like their approach to this round was a little bit better, but GX holding a much more aggressive line. Ara constantly proving that he can be that threat. One of the best rookies that we've had in VCT this year. Best duelists, a conversation which he now entertains. But Eternal Fire's pistols is still something we've spoken at length about. Only 2 lost now from the 13 played so far in the competition, including this map. It's also on the attack sides where they have looked that much better in general.
Not a whole lot in terms of engagements, as GiantX have really dedicated Westside as the player to hold this mid portion. That it's the both Sentinels that will fight each other first. Spike not committed anywhere either though, but it seems as if Eternal Fire are starting to make their decision, and they feel as if A's the better of the 2 sites.
You can see GX are ready to support a mid-duel if Westside were to be threatened. Not often we see a player in vents, but Cloud had floated over. He now rejoins the A hold, as does Flickless. Potentially, no, cancelled rotation off of the drone, but there is info here.
Starting to make the inroads to the A site, and you can see delay being prepared through Cloud, and with the stars going down, they're immediately committed to salvos. Cloud has taken damage, and he's fully blind and pulled into the open. Does have the support of Grubby, and he's hitting everything that's needed. About to win the pistol round all by himself. GiantX will strike first in the second half.
And it's a pistol round that comes at such a pivotal time. When the scoreline is tied 6-6, GiantX are able to then transfer that momentum, which they just built up towards the tail end of the opening 12. Makes all of the difference. Really nice first bullet accuracy from Grubby. And Westside just drops in to help out as well. That's the synergy that we've seen built up between these players over the last few months. Eternal Fire, on the other hand, have a lot to do to turn this game around now.
Feels as if now that's GiantX starting to... Oh no, not like this. It's about to say flex their muscles and win what could be a very pivotal round.
Last death of the round.
Yeah, see you later, Izzy, mate. It's been nice knowing you. GiantX up to 8. And yeah, as we were talking about, Hazza, now GiantX, they have what they need into the next half. 4 players alive, and a really, really good-looking bonus.
Yeah, look, I say that it's a lot that Eternal Fire have to do. That's just to break the momentum. An eco here or there would be absolutely everything if they could pick it up. But on these site entries, when GX have so much utility, so much stopping power, I don't think Eternal Fire can rely on just quick execing unless the KO knife hits. Is he the only one with gap close? And you saw how that went.
Yeah. Well, Ara walks mid. I mean, Flickless, you know how far that stun can reach, but it doesn't seem as if Ara needs it just yet. Used for an escape tool, the entry taken, and Eternal Fire now to have to try and find a way back into this one.
Something which Eternal Fire like to do in their mid-round is really play through both extremities. Sturban and Spear, great at finding a lurk timing. Was on A most of the time that they managed to get in. You can see Spear is still just orbiting here as GX are very happy to concede mid control.
Is he going to be the one left there? As a late win condition, a late clear.
And it makes sense for Eternal Fire to target the B site here because playing through Link, much better for mid control.
That operator, sorry, not the operator, it's the Outlaw, ready to fire away. First shot sent, and Izzy now activates. The players on site are under fire. It is a nice hinder, but how is this going to hinder the take coming through? It seems by the headhunter of Westside and the rifle of Ara. It should be what GX needed. A bonus round converted, the spike on the floor, and GX up to 9.
The utility usage is so good, and priority set between this duo of Ara and Westside to fight for main control once they realize they're getting split upon, instead of just, you know, being caught between two minds there. Ara lands the hinder, and with how flexible he started to become in his agent pool as well, I think it really suits the current meta and heading into 2026. I have high hopes for this GX roster if trends continue.
I think that's the big thing, right, is how did it look like in terms of when GiantX started to show what they thought of the current state of Valorant and the changes that we've seen? I think because they were very dependent on the util and set starts, right, and they don't have a lot of that anymore.
But here it's just Ara walking down as he had been behind the drone. Now put to the test on the A site. Just Ara alive for the time being, but the util's coming through in support. Ara at the double, Westside again. This duo is unrelenting. And for Eternal Fire, they just can't find a way in.
Yeah, and it's fantastic the way they're playing off one another here, Eternal Fire. I mean, Eternal Fire, sorry, GiantX, apologies. I think that's the big thing about GiantX. We've spoke about it at length, and I hate to bring it up again, but you can clearly see it on the site take. Things get chaotic, things get messy, but the one thing that pulls through is the power of friendship.
Yeah, it does. Look, friendship that has been built for quite some time, and they would love to be rewarded with a win, albeit in the off-season at the end of all of this. Of course, place second in the end in VCT EMEA Stage 2 to Liquid.
Yeah.
Second place in the off-season last year to BBL in Istanbul. And while they did win the LAN in Spotlight, of course, against G2, it's this version of the roster that would most enjoy the chance to take home some silverware.
Yeah, I think like they do deserve it, let's be honest, but how do they compare for you, Hazza, against some of the other teams that we see? Fnatic, with the addition of Vekaj, Vitalities, I don't know if it's a super team, but...
Super villains.
Super villains, yeah. But there's a conversation to be had, is where does GX find himself in this hierarchy?
I think it's really difficult to say at this point in time, but the advantage that they have is the roster is consistent, of course.
Exactly.
It's a much longer conversation to have, and VCT, a different ball game to Blender right now. That's something which Eternal Fire are quickly beginning to learn in this second half. Full purchase for them now. Is he just hunting out that first kill, and Sturban has his back? Ara is the danger man. And with the ult, he has ways to get out of this situation.
Well, Izzy's operator fires off, and as you said, the dash being used and already out into safety, but there is a star being placed to try and deal with them. Spear holding mid is successful, and Westside now pushed away. So we look at Arrow once again, hiding within the corner, but easily cleared through. Westside can't make it work. So that spike goes down, and Grubinho comes back in to a 1 versus 4, and he will be noted as he's run into a trap.
Eternal Fire doing much better at finding access to the site there. It was the initial kill from Izzy on this op, which has consistently popped up throughout their time on Abyss. Then grouping up and taking it to Ara, who had already been brought low. A good start, Cairo, but we need to see the continuation of this, and you're expecting GX to have multiple ways to do that. Ult online for Westside, and Ara still with that convergent pass to fall back on.
I mean, the fact that you have like such great retake tools is going to be massive. Eternal Fire really putting priority towards the extremities now compared to when they started off in mid.
And to follow on about the ult economy as well, that could be the real difference between the teams for Eternal Fire to keep this competitive or GX to secure a map win, because they're only a few points away from getting a few more of those online, the attack side here.
Oh, it's a great flash and a great setup as well. But you can see Ara now starting to activate off the back of that contact. Spear not quite able to capitalise. So Ara forced into a position he doesn't want to be in. Back to the wall. Can he find anything off the back of it? The answer, no. Well cleared by Spear.
Yeah, the decision there from Ara with no refract was to just move forward and take the jewels. Flickless has spotted the cross, but he can't do anything to stop it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic shot. So Westside's tour de force is up next. A big obstacle in one which will actually be scanned, but not one that will be easy to clear out. Izzy round the back like ships in the night will finally get the kill. Cloud looks like he doesn't want anything to deal with it, so we are going to go within 2 rounds of these two teams.
We had talked at length about how Eternal Fire were a roster made up of multiple individuals which could all step up when they needed to be accounted for. But once more, it is Izzy who is really stealing the limelight here in every respect. The strength of this team and the way that they're playing is just putting him on a line with that op and finding the first kill. And often, it is just coming purely through contacting. As soon as they get A main control, though, it's a lovely flash from Anima, back on the initiator now after yesterday, to set him up. And it doesn't feel like GX have all too much of a counter for this at this point in time.
No, it doesn't seem like that at all. I really like the Anima's flashing utility. I remember he was playing Breach a lot in that first split of EMEA challenges and looked great.
Well, that's the thing. He was joking that he's the Turkish Breach because he's got long ginger hair like the agent, right? But he has shown us more flexibility. And as the desk was saying earlier, that is the biggest attribute that you can have in Project Blender when agents are gonna get banned. You're forced out of your comfort zone. Eternal Fire within 2 now after leaving a 4-round gap. And it's a much quicker play towards B with the KO ult.
Oh, and Spear in mid, this time he's the one with the operator, but the neural theft, probably most important at the moment. The 3rd ultimate in the round for Eternal Fire, but one that nets them, enables them to set up perfectly in the post. Great setup for Izzy once again.
And GX have no choice but to walk away and try to save face from this. Flickless will get a consolation, but there are no tangibles for them here. Brilliant call from Eternal Fire. They have the KO ult available. They have the Cosmic Divide. And so all of those utility problems that they faced against GX just fade away.
Sorry.
What's so funny?
Just in my head, like, you said fade away, and I was like, it was like Wave After Wave, you know that song?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Slowly drifting.
Yeah. I don't know why that made me giggle. Maybe I'm brain rotted, mate.
No, you are. You absolutely are. Spear's locked in, though. Quad kill from him, and that 4-round gap now is just 1.
See what happens after a timeout. Things can quickly change, and that's why after this timeout everyone will see that Pipson has called one of his own, and Eternal Fire playing with this pace change is excellent, and nice calling by Izzy.
You've got that song stuck in my head right now as well. Awful.
Wave after wave.
My feet can't touch the ground.
That's that grand final, has it?
Yeah, I know.
Lock in.
I know, and you'd hope your feet were on the ground on Abyss, or you'd be falling off the edge.
I mean, he's already done that.
As we are here as well. GX with ults to work with, and Pipson again just reassuring his players. A real focus of those timeouts, looking back at some of the content put out by GX on socials, is always just a reminder more than anything else of what their identity is as a team and the protocols that they typically have, especially on this defender side for re-clearing space. I think honestly, the best results we saw from them is where they weren't fighting for middle at all, when they just gave it up, playing from the mains and locking down the choke points.
Is it a quick take after the timeout, or will it be a slow default from Eternal Fire with 4 bodies outside of A main? For me, it signals only one thing, and that is full pace towards the A site. Cloud and Grabinho, the ones to hold it down for GiantX.
Longest recon dart of all time, but Grubby has the util support here, and GX are fighting for the main control. They're winning it as well. First couple go their way, but then Eternal Fire have a retort. So overall, green lighting access to A, but they've still not made it past this initial line of defense.
Yeah, they're thinking with the delays that there's going to be bodies here already, which there is, but not on site. GiantX are waiting for the response, a tap of the spike, and especially with that Whaley ultimate, the converging paths, that could be the real difference maker.
GX walking back out. Yeah. Is it into trouble? Spears up on the line, but the util drops in, and that's where things start to get scary. Westside walking out, but Spear has this one accounted for. First shot lands, and Westside can't meet the same sort of success, not until he has a second crack at it. Skyland now in the side. The veteran in the 1 versus 1. Spike at his disposal, time as well. Westside playing a patient game.
Waiting for the spike to be committed, at least so we knew. And with that being planted now, he has to retake with an operator. And Skyland's gone above.
Westside has been good for this shot, and with Skyland giving away the game, Westside has a rough idea where that Sova player is. Now tucked in close. Westside peeking. Skyland peeks away and just looks in the wrong direction. Westside winning the 1v1. The op, not a problem. As GX stop the rot and get up to 11 at last.
Yeah, and with them stopping the rot, is that what's needed now to push them on to 12 and, well, hopefully map point on their own pick? That is going to be another Eternal Fire timeout, as they want to stop GX having any momentum start in towards this final portion of this first map.
It's what I was talking about in the build-up from that timeout as well. You only saw Westside solo in middle with the op, taking what would have been a 1v1 where we've seen Spear start to use that a lot more as Eternal Fire want to speed things up. And just really focusing on those tightly packed areas, A main specifically, where they can put in util and get better value. Another timeout now, this one from John Sip. And it comes at such an important time in the game. We are on GX's pick of Abyss, of course. However, the next couple of rounds decide whether we go max regulation or if GX take it here and now.
I mean, those ultimates are probably going to be the deciding factor, let's be honest here. I think the retake, the lethality of this retake, and the threat that it can pose, Eternal Fire, is something that they'll need to filter into their plans. Whether that's going and taking extra space, upsetting that, and if it's having another layer through mid, perhaps. That's what we'll see, as there's 3 bodies outside A. This is usually the same start that we see in terms of KO utility, clearance through that portion of the map. It's Ara holding on to B main here. An operator that he has to face up against.
Off angle for him. Izzy can't correct in time. Leading the way in terms of kills as he drops back with that golden dagger. Waiting to see if Ara has anything else to say about this, but as you can see, Flickless will take first contact. And it is the ultimate laid up off the back of this.
So rather than retake, Ara would like and opt to hold this B site, supported by that off Flickless, a signature agent you would feel for a player like him. Do they have the goods to make this one a GX round?
It's that UCAM duo then in the final 30 seconds, forged in the flames of the Spanish Challenger League and up against their Turkish opponent. There's little to be said of this attack right now. The wall goes up and it's panic stations. No rotation called behind this for the defender's side, but Eternal Fire fully committing. Oh, Ara in the crowd! And as he shoots into the target-rich environment, he's rewarded for his efforts. A sidestep of Sturban stops him from falling off the edge, but Eternal Fire are dropping away from this. Needs the kill on Flickless to give himself half a chance, but as the rest flood in to deny it, it's GX all over Eternal Fire.
A fantastic round from GiantX. I thought the ultimates would have been used to retake rather than hold the site, but Ara, cool, calm and collected. The way he drops back and plays anti-flash. Flickless does a great job as well. And once again, I hate to bring up the same thing, it feels cheap, but it can't help be said. That is just the cohesion and the synergy within the teammates to do something like that and hold the site.
It's the calling in the mid-round and the plan creation between those individuals that you see improve since the debut of that duo against Fnatic way back in the end of the first stage. Westside with an early opener. And that might be a sign of what is to come.
The impending doom beginning to encircle Eternal Fire. That spike on the ground, so it's an investigative round now for the attack as they try and get themselves equal in man count. It's going to be difficult considering the positions that GiantX take up though, as they look to give nothing away to this attack.
We've also still not seen that adjustment from Eternal Fire in terms of how they're playing. Spear in middle, but for GX, they've now fully given up mid control. Ara's ready to defend B when asked upon, and it doesn't feel like that is going to be too far away from now.
So it's towards the B site. West side's operator in heaven. And actually, he hasn't had any smokes put on his position. Had a chance to get a kill, but the flash stopped, and Ara now has to escape as well. So the B site taken, and there's players making their way towards the site.
GX coming back in with retake. Teho ult available. They don't disrupt early. They play the numbers game.
Sturban playing up close and personal. A question of who clears and if they can clear him, because this is an opportunity for a phantom up close that goes amiss, goes awry, and allows GX back into the site. Spears operator has to try and hold on, has to try and win Eternal Fire here, but with this position right now and Ara bearing on down, it'll be GiantX to win their own map pick.
GX pull the plug on an early map win for Eternal Fire here, and if there was a round to demonstrate how
anima that we're used to seeing, and for GiantX, I think this actually does make a lot of sense for what they want to do. The Deadlock coming in alongside the Sova. Yeah, I really like this, and I think Ara will have a lot of agency with the support of these initiators. I'm saying initiators because Deadlock's in the server.
Yeah, there's a lot of stopping power on both sides. In many ways, you're probably expecting, for the most part, a little bit more defaulting, playing through that Viper as much as possible. For Izzy, I think, as the in-game leader of this team as well, it's going to be so demanding, especially mechanically, on a Neon. Really not often that you see that, so heading into things here, Eternal Fire did lose the last pistol. One of only 3 for them so far in this entire playoff stage. Early damage on Izzy, but that gets healed off no problem. It looks like they're trying to burst out of top mid.
Problem is obviously the Sova has already taken damage and players distracted, dragged away onto the B site and forced now to try and stand up against a barrage of Eternal Fire players. Cloud on 5 HP, should never have got away with 2. But it's the 2 players on site, on B, that we have to look at next to hold things down. They do so successfully for a moment, but it is a 2-on-2.
Westside to get overwhelmed here.
It looks like he is going to be able to withstand, though, as he's trying to play Grubby in from Market. Swing out, denial of the spike. 45 seconds Skylin has to win this one. We'll at least get the spike back and a route in towards the backside. A tap does bring out Grubby from Market. A headshot on either player brings Eternal Fire to a round win.
Skylin with a key clutch in the 1 versus 2. Cloud has his moment. I think Westside is one of the stars in this round, though. That barrier stopped the 2 Eternal Fire players setting up together on site. This is just excellent target isolation. And exactly the pistol round that Eternal Fire were looking for.
This is the way that Abyss started. 5-1, if you remember correctly, before GX were able to win a thrifty round, bringing themselves back on side. Eternal Fire very good at momentum managing. On Sunset, if they could start off perfectly again, it would be a great way to put themselves in the driving seat.
We know that a lot of what GX do here is built off of these set plays. The A main one, always very common for them, as headshots trade, but Spear with the better weaponry will pick up Grabinho.
So,
and I think that's what you're kind of waiting to see when GX do have a buy, honestly.
So Arrow will be able to grab Spear, so the pressure on A main has been given up, and the players now forced in towards B, where the pistols are starting to work out here. A Marshall shot fired off from Izzy, and a second one will net him a kill. So Westside at the back of sight. Classic in hand. Unfortunately, it's out of hand, because Eternal Fire are now ready to win out the round.
3 versus 1 situation, and Ara can't get any better than the Classic he's on for now. Sturban making sure nothing gets past. And Eternal Fire keeping the majority of the guns. Yeah, this has been a great start to the map for them so far. That pistol, a big swing, of course, in their favor. But now just waiting to see what it is that GX want to do, because it's strange. They are often the ones on the defense that actually set that precedent. And right now, it's looking a lot more liberal than what we've come to expect.
I mean, both sides with a decent purchase here. And again, we've said it before, masters of momentum. But it's going to be a difficult task here with all 5 rifles available and all 5 players on heavy shields.
Spear is managing the A main space well with this orb, stops GX from actually getting a much deeper line. Grubby playing back in elbow and aware of the threat here. He's not overcalled it. There is no rotation from GX just yet.
You can see that Viper's wall actually demanding so far a bit of a crossfire when it does go up, just to make sure that nobody is scaling up that portion of the map. So right now, Eternal Fire have global presence by doing absolutely nothing.
GX ready to rotate towards B as Grubby was given control back through Cloud's drone, but this constant cycling of the Viper Orb that I noted earlier in the round has made it a difficulty for him, and now Eternal Fire are looking to move here. It's the A site where they will end. How much can Grubby get done?
No TPs.
Shot through the smoke though. It's Spear on the receiving end. Eternal Fire trying to accelerate towards the A site, and Grubby taking damage, gets revealed. Izzy punishes, 20 seconds. Eternal Fire creeping closer, but the bodies are here for GiantX. Ara taking the timing through the smoke, but Cloud is still alive, deep in the site, entrenched behind the metal box. He's only good for 1. It is a 1v1. And the spike's out in elbow, so Flickless cuts off the life support, and GX do break deadlock.
I mean, Flickless didn't even need to be on site, could have ran away and would have won it. I mean, Grubby here, it just forced back, nice utility on the execute. I think the big man right here at the back of site, supported by Cloud and Flickless. Yeah, supported by Cloud, he is Cloud.
Yeah, and I was just about to say Flickless did need to take that fight because there was still 7 seconds, but I agree, right? I guess you go to pick up the spike, you can't, but
exactly.
He's committed, but by that point, and regardless, GX end up winning. Eternal Fire still with money beneath them.
It's this next round in which Eternal Fire usually build from. GX were able to win the rifle round last time. We are looking at West Side holding from the back of sight on B.
These sonic sensors are going to be a great counter to the Neon moving in, and has already slowed up the pace a bit.
And it has, and GX have already started to take control of the kill feed here. And you look at Ara, starting to make his way through. No real Sentinel utility to stop him. And with that spike down, the other two players are trying to play away. The paranoia looks good, has hit at least two. So Ara takes his timing, at least one. Can he get more than this? Because no, in fact, he's going to play in Grubby, who's ready to set up the round for a GX win. Spear can't get the trade transfer, and it will be GX to even out the rounds.
Yeah, that's a really well-played round from the individual members on GX of how they bring it between them, right? Grubby at the end there, not overextending. Ara, really nice mechanics, not to overpeak from main. Stun sets this one up. And it's now something that Eternal Fire are going to have to start thinking about, because while GX have been taking main control, they've not developed on it. This is the first time that you're now actually seeing that aggressive nature of Ara be rewarded with these punishes on the backline where there isn't any util to watch.
Yeah, I mean, GX can always evolve the rounds if they play the way that they have been. And once again, nobody really stopping A, because you look at the utility at the back of this round, there's going to be some parts missing, especially with absolutely no rifles in the mix. All sheriffs, all pistols, and it's mid where EF want to try and get a brawl.
GX have ultimates available to them, but more than anything, they should just be looking to try and control this round as best as possible. Izzy, on the other hand, does have the overdrive, but Cloud sends him his marching orders, and Spear following this up with the Sheriff can't get anything done either. GX putting Eternal Fire away quite handily in this one, which is important for the next.
Last player standing. Spike down.
And as you said, keeping that defender side economy on their side, Skyland. Wants to getting himself an ultimate online. And I think that's the big thing here to come away with.
Yeah, absolutely, because that leads into the point I'm setting up for this round. I'm expecting this to be the time that we see GX go for one of those set pieces. Feels like whenever Cloud has the Hunter's Fury available on this Sova, it's so cerebral for him to just say, I'm gonna, use this ult in a lane, go ahead and push it. Taking a look at the map before we jump in, not seeing any initial priority on that, in fact, but if you're Eternal Fire, this is something you've got to be aware of.
Yeah, I think typically we see that Hunter's Fury placed towards the B main. Always think of that crunch that we saw quite consistently. Won't see it this time round, as Eternal Fire do not want to approach it, but they do anticipate the A push.
Most importantly, GX bring bodies to this. Is he able to find one? And it's a collat damage onto Grubby as well, which means that he's dropped to 5 HP. GX trying to make something out of this initial fight, but not rewarded.
Cloud in position. He could be the artillery that Grubby needs to create chaos, as the players do start to try and scale up A now.
But can't trade off of this deep corner that Grubby is currently sat in. Needed the first shot to land, but swings at it early and Sturban will drop him. Everything on Cloud here now, and with his position revealed, you're not expecting much. Still finds one, but that won't cut it. Westside watches the bridge fall away as he looks to make a reprisal on the A site. Eternal Fire with an equalizer here early. And they bring up ults of their own.
Yeah, and that's a scary prospect, because Eternal Fire have essentially won this through no ultimate of their own, making the next few rounds powder kegs, waiting to explode for ultimates on GiantX, 4 on Eternal Fire. And I guess we can almost exclude the Omen ultimate on the GX side, but not so much the Eternal Fire, because that's got a nice combination with a Fade Nightfall, the ultimate there.
Yeah, And I'm glad that you raised the Nightfall there as well, because that's probably going to be the one ult on the side of Eternal Fire, which GX are going to struggle to deal with if they are pushing on this defender's side. And the res, of course, because if you take that space back, then you can restore numbers, and it's just a risk that GX would have to take. Risks that we're only just starting to see in these last couple, and risks which have put them on a low buy.
At some point, you've got to take a calculated risk, right? If you're GiantX. And I feel as if those A main pushes have been working, so they're like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And unfortunately, Eternal Fire.
Ooh. This looks like one of the rounds that they might want to increase the pace, though, and this is the push with the ult. Bucky in the back pocket of Ara, and he's gonna lose the duel on Spear.
Yeah, Grubby also TPing twice in towards mid, not going to get the value from it. So, Eternal Fire, straight away on B site, spike down. 3 players to come back into this. I don't think I fancy them here. Westside does have a rifle, though.
Managed to pick it back up, and Grubby on just the stinger. It's a shot from Izzy, which doesn't make this retake attempt look any better for GX. Maybe cutting their losses and getting Westside out of dodge. The money's going to be there for them regardless, so anything to hamper Eternal Fire right now would be a positive. Paranoia sent in. Both players stuck in market. See with Sturban on the approach from middle as well. Westside's got to fight his way out of a difficult situation. Only good for the one. Eternal Fire back in front.
Very well played. I mean, what was really lost there? The Omen ultimate, right? Like, that combination that we're not going to get to see. And Eternal Fire, very confident. The shots from Izzy are unbelievable.
Also, Spear on the timing to check out Ara as he was running down main there in towards spawn. It's interesting that GX pull that out on the eco, but of course it was just one of the ults invested. They have set the notion now that that is something they are capable of doing, something that we at home know to be true, of course. Viper's Pit to prop up the B-hold. This might just push Eternal Fire into an operator, though.
Take flight.
Could do. And with this mid-rounder now coming through from Cloud, this can confirm, or should confirm, this is most likely going to be towards A.
Still no info for them in B, of course, but Ara has a huge opportunity. Not going to find the shot it was looking for, but Izzy can! Slides back in to confirm it. Cloud following up with the ult, but that only gets one. Res comes through, Stubborn back on their feet. And with that new lease of life, the Nightfall comes in. Grubby trying to stand his ground, can't find the shots, and with that, the site falls. Eternal Fire in position, but Westside chasing this up with another ult, which misses. And we're still going as the fire keeps burning.
Seems like Flickless will be able to escape with his life and rifle as Eternal Fire are beginning to push themselves in front. I think at this point, you're expecting Pipson to have his say, to strike first in the coach timeouts. Because Eternal Fire, the past couple rounds, have just had GiantX's number.
Yeah, and Pipson was very early in his timeouts in the last couple of halves, and this time has left it a little bit longer, trusting the ideas that GX had shown. And honestly, in many ways, you can't fault them. It's then in the fights where things get a little bit messy. So well played from Eternal Fire, and so many ults used as well. There's barely anything left here. 3 on the GX side of the server. And a couple more from Eternal Fire, but they have built on that lead now.
So unlucky from Ara. And even the escape, the relay bolt not popping quick enough to stop the operator being scoped in. And as we foretold, we expected it. Pipson ready to speak to his boys.
There are a few different ways that Pipson can take this, but of course, we already mentioned that for GX right now, playing off of one another is one of the biggest strengths of this team. And we've also not really seen them explore mid too much on this defender side either. I think when you have so many strong anchors, the deadlock and both of the smokes, you are more willing to play from the sites. But as I mentioned, we've not seen that synergy yet, Cairo, so it really depends what they want to opt for here.
I mean, yeah, the big thing that I was thinking about was just like GiantX in terms of, I mean, you think about the post plant in the second half, it's going to be pretty strong. Let's be honest, right? Yeah. You have a Viper and a deadlock. It's going to be almost impossible to get back into sight without having some sort of advantage towards GiantX's attack. But on this defense, yeah, I think we need to see a lot more. And it seems like A main is where the next take is going to happen. A Bucky perhaps trying to be set up by GiantX. And it's not often you see a wall committed fully towards the A side of the map.
Eternal Fire have been happy to use this to reinforce Spear's lurks, which have been finding value. His control of this space mandatory, it feels like, to stop GX's game plan from working. And to talk a little bit more about Eternal Fire, as GX are on a lighter buy, they just want to keep the ball rolling as much as possible. This attack side for them, map to map, has always been their strong suit.
Barrier deployed.
Timing from west side on the barrier isn't going to get any better than that, though.
Yeah, it's going to cause a pause. Delay. Eternal Fire though, unperturbed, keep going, trying to force the B. As that wall has been shot out.
Once again, Izzy is this conduit for the attack side with the operator and has already gotten out onto the market angle. So as Flickless tries to peek in, he is going to find the shots that were required. Traded out, that's the rifle lost. GX still have bodies here though.
That they do, and smokes to go down as well to fortify this backside a little bit better, but with the wall down, so does Go the Pit, and now we're in post.
GX in formation for a retake, but with the site flooded by fumes, the toxin is tearing away their chances. A man down and needing a clean kill, it's Skyland instead to put them to bed. Grubby one back on his opposite number. But they continue to trail, and Ara is yet to find himself in a position of power. Brilliant flash, coming in with the Bucky, picks up the gun, but traded out by Anima. And Eternal Fire pass another test.
Half of GiantX's rounds. Half? Well, double of GiantX's rounds, apologies.
Twice as many?
Yeah, don't do maths live on broadcast, has it? It's never good, mate. And yeah, at this point in time, we're seeing Eternal Fire with the opportunity to really kick on in this half. Win this round, advantage guaranteed, and possibly more alongside it considering the economy of the defense. Really struggling to stop these takes are GX.
It's interesting as well when you consider that Spear has been almost exclusively playing A main solo, and GX haven't found a way to punish him yet. Just thinking of a double peek here, but Grubby takes it solo off of the jump, and Ara left rendered useless.
I don't think he's useless. He's at least holding on towards A main, but the rest of the team now maybe a little bit stressed in the form of how they have to hold on to the rest of the map. Cloud just walking down mid.
Sturber needs the crosshair in the right place, but as he tucked to the wall, finds Cloud back. To say, Ara has his part to play in this round, and the question is, does he want to gain any additional ground? Somewhat held back by the fact that mid is now an issue as well. GX's strong side is the B site.
As he walks in, can't actually get stunned up, and he pops the ultimate just in case of a pop out. That's a big double, and puts this round into trepidation for Eternal Fire. But Westside needed to hit his shot onto the Sage, or else Ara was going to be put in a 1 versus 3.
Not willing to play the 2-on-2, and Izzy will punish. Back up on his feet as Eternal Fire just keep taking strides towards A first half result which would put them far and away from GX. Another purchase falls through the cracks. Some nice individual moments here, Cairo, but still not enough.
30 seconds.
Yeah, and Pipson now going for another timeout. And this is not good stuff, because obviously not happy with what's being said in the comms, not happy with what's being done by the team. And that's going to prove, I guess, possibly going to hurt GiantX as they move on to that next half, if things do go wrong.
Yeah, right. I think at this point in time, though, it is a timeout that you're willing to take. Pipson sparing with his usage, but always knows that this is the better side for GX. Always has been on this map. And if you can't take, at minimum, 4, realistically 5 rounds, then there are going to be problems on the side switch. So I think you rather remedy that issue now than wait for the rot to continue and spread. There is a purchase to match this, not to the same level as Eternal Fire. No Outlaw out to punish this, still just working with the op. And it's Spear that picks it up this time.
It's the 5 light shields that I'm worrying about GiantX as they try to force back through this, using every credit they have left in their pocket. The operator, as you said, on Spear, but the one way stopping it from getting on towards an angle which would be beneficial.
GX really haven't changed up this A hold at all, though, in terms of how they've been playing it. Yet to see Westside get involved either as the deadlock. Often good for it.
Well, the timing of the paranoia just a little off, and that's what's going to net Grubby's death. But are at least able to trade out. Worried about Sterpin's position, clears him. And now 1 away from a second slide. Will retreat. Happy with what he's got. But that spike still makes its way towards A.
GX showing discipline in this situation to drop back where there is support available for them.
Oh, the timing is insane. Anima nearly getting a chance to go and take a fight on site. And when he does, though, Flickless is there to support. So with Spike down and Spear with a little bit of time to play, it's 4 targets, but at least 3 as he was to swing round on shot they'd have to deal with.
GiantX standing on each other's shoulders, looking like a unit in this round. And that is the difference from what we've seen in the previous couple. Not too much of a change on the surface about how that A main fight was happening, but between Ara and Grubby, no more disconnect. Great paranoia, and Ara back to his best.
That he is. And I think, again, we spoke about it before in terms of his involvement, his value within this team. And once he starts to get first engagements, once he starts to get going, I think he can always be that win condition that GiantX need.
He can take over the game completely, as can Izzy. We are seeing him on the operator here again, as Ara has now left the A site and brings his own scoped weapon to the opposite side.
Was anything more seen off the back of that drone as the operator did fire off? There's plenty here now as they start to tackle top mid, but you look at this sonic sensor set up to aid the crossfire as they try and get in. There is an even trade.
Cloud with only 1. Now, what do Eternal Fire want to do with this space? Maybe heading towards A. You can see it's a huge 1 versus 1 happening in main.
But it's about the top mid space as well.
They peel off from it.
Yeah, don't want anything to do with it. Happy with what they've got so far. Through market is where they look to go next. And Ara's operator getting set up.
Spear is going to be very, very late here in B main. It's all on the market players and mostly Ara for GX to hold.
That timing on the deadlock wall, absolutely huge. Ara, though, missing out could be a problem. Not here, not now, as the second chance works out. Only Ara really seen. That means that Westside gets played in. An overdrive used as well. And 20 seconds remaining for that spike to go down. It's GiantX are at the advantage in the player count. Trying to be proactive, trying to win the round, and it seems like Anima might have his hand forced. It is. He tries to attempt to get the spike down, which he's successful in, but not in winning it. So Eternal Fire will settle for 7-5 on the half switch.
Best case scenario from the timeout. Perfect time to make the call from the coach slot. And it's back-to-back multi-kill rounds for Ara as well. Looking at his positioning here, it was awesome. Have to say, Spear a little late to come through main. It actually gives Flickless an opportunity to bring those toxins up, provide a little bit more safety. And as the defending team, whenever you're holding on to backside control on B, you're always in such a good position to be winning that round. Of course, with the Sage Wall, it can make things a little different, but this is probably the textbook example.
So with that, we've spoken about the strengths of GiantX's composition of agents on the post plant with a Viper and Deadlock really pivotal in that. But what can Eternal Fire do to really hold out on the defense?
For a start, a pistol round is going to put them in the perfect spot because they have lost the last couple. And as we know, it was heading into the side swap that GX kept that momentum on Abyss and really put the game out of reach. As much as we compliment their trade on this attack side, Eternal Fire have the Sage, and it's going to slow the pace down.
This wall disguise, and this is a mid play, and GiantX looking to start to walk away, but it's off angles at the up fort.
Ara caught by utility. West side still favoured though, and with that, he can support. Skyland swooping in and finding 4. Eternal Fire do get the pistol. And they are right back in this contest with it.
I mean, in this contest, I think they're in charge of the contest at this point in time. The utility was good for the first part of the push, but Skyline being able to swing around, take heads clean off. So this defense off to the perfect start, being able to build their lead up towards 4 before we get towards the rifle round. That's if they win this one. We could see a thrifty round come through.
GX have been good for an eco here or there, and as much as Eternal Fire did scale slowly with the Viper, there is a surplus of utility to be used if they want to accelerate, and in trying to, Izzy's stun has slowed the elbow push. Plenty of targets here for the Marshal to fire into, but the damage is on the Eternal Fire side for the time being. That does quickly change as the heal is in play with all of the rest. The guns in their hands, and the 9th on the board.
Yes, the result that we expected.
Sure.
So with that, we now get back to the real Valorant, the rifle rounds, as Eternal Fire look to force up into the next with a couple buys in there. And that's going to prove an issue for GiantX, one which they've really yet to feel the brunt of, because there's yet to be a bonus converted.
Eternal Fire, for the most part, beginning cleanly, quickest out of the blocks, half to half. It's a little different on Abyss, but their initial attempts have been harbored. Grubby with an impact kill on Spear towards B. That's all the Viper util lost. The anchor missing, and seeing an opportunity here to try and strike.
And well, Cloud just stuck on the edge of the slow is going to allow Sterbin to mow a couple players down. Shows you how strong the Sage can be as the players out of main start to assault towards market. It is a 3 versus 2 in favour of Eternal Fire.
And they have upgrades now as well. A couple of Phantoms filtering back through.
Yeah, and that spike on the other side of the door as well. So the problems continue to build for Eternal Fire. Flickless low himself.
A game of spam, not one you want to play.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the health pool. Much more in favour of Eternal Fire. There was a barrel just seen, so Grubby is taking more damage himself. Does get the spike though.
If GX managed to pull this one off, it's the steal of the century. Eternal Fire playing by the numbers. All on Grubby here.
Trying to play into the stack, and that's the problem. I said before, GiantX haven't felt the brunt of Eternal Fire's bonus buys, but they could feel it here and now as Flickless makes his stand from market, trying to buy something that feels impossible. He already gets it started off perfectly. That molly might be a little off as both players now stand tall, look to stand up against the Viper, which they will win. Sturban with 4 and Eternal Fire with double digits.
You're just asking far too much of GX to turn that one around. Sturban finding so much on this Spectre. It's in the close quarters where it really excels. Phantoms back in their hands. And GX, seeing the game starting to slip away from them, look like they're going to be forcing in this next round. Or I should say, it's more of a half buy with the plant.
Yeah, 4 Stingers in the mix. You know what that Neon can do when the gap is closed.
And we saw the quick play in the second round achieve a bit of space.
But it's not just space that you need, it's the value round the other corner. As the players try to get towards A, but completely choked. Closed out, maybe not for long though. The rifle of Skyland will do it and win the round. So up to 11, Eternal Fire. And with that force, I worry with what GX actually have left to contest this second map.
Skyland spraying them down. And as you put it, Ara dives in, but there's no one else that can close the distance up as quickly as he can. Even with that paranoia, you're relying on the entry. We were talking about Skyland earlier as someone who has consistently placed second regionally, never had that opportunity to lift a trophy. This could be his first and the start of something special. Eternal Fire 2 rounds away from bringing us to the decider now.
Could be the start of something new, has it? But does it feel right to continue through mid? Because GX are stalled out at this moment in time. And they've walked straight into Izzy's op. He hasn't been able to get the kill, but at least they know about it now.
Paranoia wagered. You can see where GX want to go through top mid, but the slow is perfect. Skyland again striking into the heart of GX on the rifle round. They need to win, and so Flickless and Westside can step up to the occasion. They slip through the net and it's bearing their way. Again, Eternal Fire in these situations, accounting for themselves.
Match point.
And doing it far more dominantly than what we saw from GX in that first map.
Yep, 13-9 was what GX won, and for a moment in those last couple of rounds, you felt as if Eternal Fire could have easily have come back into that match. At 12-5, it would be a statement piece to move into map number 3 of Bind, one which has been played 7 times by Eternal Fire, and one which GiantX are undefeated on.
Yeah, 2-0. The same scoreline which Eternal Fire have on this map. They shall remain undefeated if it carries on like this, and it's certainly looking ever more likely with each passing moment. Izzy's operator, keeping things ticking over.
Now, a market well stocked. Well, I mean, the fact there's so much here, even Izzy's operator, they have everything that they need now to finish this one, and they can feel it. They can feel that there's blood in the water, and they will win out the map. Map number 2, Eternal Fire's Pit goes their way. We are pushed to a deciding map.
Just now have to really search for what it is that can turn things around.
Yeah, I mean, for Eternal Fire, they have played this composition 4 times as well on Bind, Hazza, and that's where actually 2 of their losses in this tournament came from. So they're 2-2 with this composition of agents. As for GiantX, what do they have for us here as they play on the defense?
Took multiple overtimes to settle that result against Na'Vi on the road here for GX. Some called it the easier side of the bracket, but they had to graft for it.
It's all relative at the end of the day when it comes to brackets. Flickless, though, will win out that first duel.
So early advantage for GiantX, as the names are just swapped. That will be fixed momentarily. An advantage for them here, which they can work with. Rotation already being called.
Yeah, and the players need to be careful here because you can already see the Sky looking to jump spot from Cloud in towards Long, and I think he's seen everything that he needs.
Bender's just gauging this execution as to whether it's something they want to fight immediately, and you can see with the flash in from Cloud, he wants to do so. Grubby holds the line for just a moment. Eventually they will drop, and Cloud can just about get out with his life.
One enemy remaining.
Find the shot that follows it up onto Spear as well. Spike in, Anima with time against him, and numbers as well. Ara opens the scoring in the last map of this grand final.
Pistol round going GiantX's way. The last time they won one was on Abyss, and it was where they were able to convert bonus round and gain an extensive lead. Can they do the same on the start of Bind? Just to correct myself, I actually get caught off by the overlay, but Eternal Fire have only played this composition twice and they're yet to lose on it, so the stakes now even higher.
Enemy remaining.
We're seeing this map, one which they faced Vitality on, of course.
Yeah.
Early Outlaw from Izzy will turn heads.
But it's also heavy shields on Sheriffs as well, so it's not as if like it's a sole outlaw that they're trying to make work. This is a force.
Not often you see those pistols brought to the force by. Mosh takes a while to land, so GX can drop back off this. Those longer lines maybe where the Sheriffs are more effective.
And it seems if GiantX are starting to get up close and personal, where that headshot range becomes a lot more, the headshot damage range, sorry, becomes a lot higher.
In the corner, tag does land from Izzy, and now GX start to have an idea of what it is that they're up against here. Very slow creep from the attack side in their approach to what looks like a B finish.
Westside does only have a Spectre, which at long range won't do too much. Eternal Fire starting to bring the players towards one side of the map, or at least that's what it seems like, as they're healing up the low. I'm confused as to what's
they've
happening.
left numbers behind here. I felt like for a moment we were going to see the B long control translate into a Showers TP, but
30 seconds
sights
left.
fully set for Eternal Fire on A, and GX do not have the numbers here.
Yeah, it's a TP play, just trying to fake out with audibles, but all 5 players for Eternal Fire on A.
Westside in through the TP. Doors open up and Izzy knows it.
So
Outlaw on the line and supported here as well. The Westside wins the first of those duels and can't quite follow up with the second. Still lamps control for GX, and they will base this retake attempt off the back of it. Flash comes in, but it's over the heads of Skyline and Anima. Both will fall as a result. And the defuse starts to get worked on. The hand's busy, but quickly pulled off it by the gravity well. Time ticking away, but there's little delay left here for Eternal Fire. Spear's got to start winning some of these fights, and he just can't cut it. The anti-force converted for GX, a second round win that means that much more.
Hazza, that round confusing for me in a lot of ways. First of all, the force buy, right? The fact that we saw heavy shields alongside Sheriffs, and then on top of that, the overall macro play, I felt as if, I don't know, just confused me for a minute. You can see what they're trying to do, but yeah, for whatever reason, Eternal Fire have lost the round, and they're having to go on to an eco. So this doesn't necessarily even feel like a bonus round. It feels like an anti-eco that GX can extend to 3.
To credit the calling for just a moment, Eternal Fire did win themselves a 4 versus 2 situation there on A, but it's the ground which GX keep that is most poignant coming out of it. Shown a number of times now already, they're happy to concede Shower's space, and Grubby just drops the molly as a way of blocking things off. Eternal Fire are in the site though, and should have another chance at a plant here.
It's the backside control that Eternal Fire look to threaten, and as they do, GX are very ready to hold on. and all the guns starting to come alive. Eternal Fire tried their best, but unfortunately, the Sheriffs and the Pistols couldn't get much done. GiantX up to 3.
And in very comfortable fashion, not a single casualty for them. You can see how GX want to try and set this up. It's interesting. I think a lot of the protocols very similar to a comp they were running earlier in the year when they still had the deadlock. They've got so much util that they can dump at you, and they want to try and play that together as much as possible. Ara is a huge component as well on the Raze.
It seems like Izzy wanting to get that operator out on the attack as quickly as possible. This actually is the bonus round for GiantX, even though it's the 4th round of this defensive half.
I also have to say that I think this op for Izzy is where you can then maybe start to expect some results, because as we said, the Waylay has struggled. It's not like you're going to be diving in with it. Nice from Ara. Just waits a moment longer to make sure that second shot was lined up. Sturban gone. Solo smokes now with Anima. And GX still forcing the issue. 2 players in the TP, and it's, you know, no one that can get out of there.
Yeah, I'm loving this from GiantX. They're setting the pace on the defense, but it looks like the execute is going to be very quick.
Probably not benefiting from the heal initially. Cloud wants the info, but then the regrowth comes in.
Players can TP if Eternal Fire want to, and that's exactly what they opt for. So now Ara all alone on A, calling for support, but there is inserts for Eternal Fire.
Skyland left behind. Is he also presiding over market? So again, a situation where we are unclear as to what it is Eternal Fire want to do here. It's looking like a B play though. Skyland not gifted an opportunity to take what he wants, but Westside will be. And with that, Izzy is gone. Another gap opening up. Skyland can make the difference though.
And Westside all alone in hookah, but he is calling for support and has it.
Another double TP from GX. Skyland's got a lot of work to do, as does Anima. Skyland getting his hands dirty again though.
Well, at least Westside cleared, so hookah control back in favour of Eternal Fire, and they do have the ultimate.
Look at this quick reposition from GX, however. Into Garden at a moment's notice, and now Skyland's backed up against the wall. Flash clears for info. Won't let Ara out of main just yet. But when he does finally let loose, it's up close with the shorty to close it all out. Spear dropped. As our Eternal Fire on what is their first rifle round of the game, 4 in. And another opportunity missed.
When we were in the last map, I started to call Eternal Fire masters of momentum, but they'll need to be masters of their own fate here, as a GiantX are up to 4 and can threaten 5 very easily, considering the next round should be an equal one. In fact, actually, it looks as if Eternal Fire do have a bye. This is the consequences of that weird force in the second round with heavy shields on Sheriffs.
Yeah, Eternal Fire have started the last couple of maps on the attack side, and over their long stay since Phase 2 in this competition, they've always seemed to start off really strong. And so the fact that we get to this, the grand final, the last map, the decider in this series to see who takes the trophy home, GX are the ones with the first 4 rounds, and part of that comes from what you were saying earlier, the kind of weird force that we got from them in the second round. Johnsip now involved, checking back in with the players. They have tools on their initiators to make something happen. Just got to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I think already the personality that GiantX are wanting to play on this defense has been seen as well. It's rather than letting the attack set the pace, they're the ones setting the pace. TPing, upsetting Eternal Fire, not allowing them to do what they want to do. And honestly, I can see the attack now being a lot more defaulty, not allowing themselves to get caught off guard, dedicating one player to a lane. The only one missing for the attack would be that long, B long. That's got an ultimate orb on it, and that will allow GiantX to really use that to their best ability.
I've got your trail.
Weapons brought up here by Eternal Fire after the 60-second intermission. Ara has an operator out though.
Yeah, I don't know about this.
And in the second stage, he really made himself known as one of the best snipers in the region. But even then, you can't send out a second shot before falling to Sturban. Good timing, Izzy. Finally, the Waylay starting to get active, tearing through GX as they try and make a stand on the A site.
Planted.
This has to be the round for Eternal Fire.
It looks like it. 2 players to come back in. Cloud and the Sage of West Side.
There's a crossfire set up here from Anima's position in bench. The smoke makes things a little more difficult and gives Cloud an opportunity to flash himself out. No trade. Westside still lagging behind here in a 1v3 situation, and as much damage as he would like to heal off, he won't be able to pick that one out. Izzy online, 4 kills from him, and the 4-round streak finally comes to a stop.
Yeah, the reason why I wasn't sure of this round was because we saw the Sky Ultimate alongside Dog invested to this one. And on B, I mean, it wasted a little bit of GiantX utility, but it didn't stop Ara holding on to short. And if he didn't get traded, it was going to be a real issue for Eternal Fire to get into sight. And once again, it's Izzy to take the round on his back and win it for the attack.
Another aggressive move from GX. This time, Sand is the target. Fake flash, in fact, from Cloud, and actually Eternal Fire don't know how much there is behind this.
Oh, walking down very quickly. Eternal Fire need to be careful, and that ultimate will leave at least one player stranded.
Yeah, it's Spear at the back with a spike in his hands. Waylay ult sends. Izzy dashing in, over the wall he goes and gets all 3. Deleted by the ult in the end, but despite GX's best efforts to guide Eternal Fire into the op, they walk away with the numbers.
Ara also used the showstopper, so it's just the 2 rifles in the hands of the 2 remaining players of GiantX.
One of them's got a longer barrel than the other, though. And Ara laying it all on short is the player of most interest to us right now. If Eternal Fire can get this into post, they have plenty of tools.
They have the Cosmic Divide. That's going to stop the Operator getting the value. And the players of Eternal Fire need to realise about Ara's position.
30 seconds
Playing from
left.
this triple stack again, just looking for something, maybe a quick denial of the spike, but won't happen. If Eternal Fire can take up post, they have Brimol and they have Molly. But they did have Molly.
Yeah, well, it's the flank that's most important for GiantX now. Is Ara known about that he's at back of sight?
Ara still roaming through lamps. Eternal Fire backed up into this deep post plant. That's where Grubby has to be the star of the show, and he starts well. Sturban falls, 2 on 2. The ult is prepared. And on that first tap, Anima makes no mistake. Onto the smokes. We'll get half. Ara has given his life up for the cause, and it might not be in vain. What? There's still a smoke here. Astra player dead. Has to be Spam. Spam will land, and Skylan bails out Eternal Fire with half a second to spare.
You can see 0.6 of a second left before that defuse was completed. GiantX got mightily close. Unfortunately, they will be paying the price for it as they will get an eco finally. This round, I think, could have been played a little bit better by the flanking pack, just on the sheer fact that they could have either kind of put one player out to the dogs to be traded out, or even better, played the trigger discipline better.
Yeah, potentially. It's hard to say, right? Fact of the matter is they're on pistols now. It's also really an Ara missed shot, which puts you in that position, which feels really tough to say because he actually changed up what he did in the previous, where he landed the shot but then went for the nade and couldn't get it off. This time, he misses the shot, but is a lot safer with his use of utility.
Operator doesn't connect, but known about the positions. You can see GiantX looking to hold on to different parts of the site through showers and through lamps. That's a big molly to deny information, so this gets more worrying for the attack, although the scale on B doesn't look too bad either.
It's nice for GX to highlight early where Izzy is, but Arrow does lose his one in the octagon.
Yeah, and that's going to immediately push Eternal Fire into a B execute. They've got the pick that they needed, and they're looking to capitalize off the back of it.
Oh, and Cloud, caught sleeping round the corner, does go punished by Spear. Still yet to see a Sheriff shot land. And that trend will continue. Sturban giving nothing away. Dropping back on a short.
One enemy
And
remaining.
Eternal Fire have responded to their critics with a third round now in succession.
Yeah, I think like, well, there's a rifle rescued for Grubby here. All he's going to be looking to do is either get another pick, or, I mean, save the rifle. It's the round over, but what can he really do from this position?
They've heard him in lamps, so I think Eternal Fire are ready to pry this one from his hands.
Yeah, but not without a fight.
So can Grubby get out? Still breathing for the time being, but it doesn't take long. Eternal Fire make this a one-round game. GX not having the answer to the defender's side just yet.
Yeah, close to each other, keeping themselves within touching distance. Nice shot from Spear. This is even better, the spam to guess exactly where the dog was coming from.
One enemy remaining.
Behind a weird map, we've seen different bias sides here. I think at 4-4, we're expecting probably close to an even game between these two, as both teams have an operator once again. We do have that Sage res, depending on how the initial engagement goes.
Both of these ops are looking at B, but Ara facing the wrong way on the initial exchange. Eternal Fire haven't really brute forced the site before because of the util that GX have, and here they are simply forced, hands tied, to respect that.
Yeah, and smoke's deployed here, so the stall is excellent. Eternal Fire, not going to have many brim smokes left, in fact just one. Fair enough, they have the Astra, but you want to use those stars for post, and you want to use those stars for maybe executing as well with the stun, so it's not a great position to be in if you're on the attack.
Eternal Fire have been defaulting consistently. This is the first time they showed any ambition to change up the pace, but it has bled precious utility from GX. Those same GX players which now find themselves isolated on B.
So the operator not dissuaded from the flash, and it will be Ara and the kill feed first for this round. The Sage res not needed just yet, but the utility looks good to force Ara out, but he is able to escape. And time getting low as Ara gets another, and that Spike now stranded on B long. Eternal Fire might just have to concede, or it'll be brute force to get themselves out into a Spike plant. 15 seconds remain, that Spike back down on the ground. It looks like GiantX are going to win round number 5 for them.
And with some serious conviction as well, Eternal Fire took hookah control really early in the round, but failed to develop that whatsoever into the execution. Such a big exchange which Ara wins to start things off. And continuing to show how proficient of an operator player he is, which means a lot right now when there is a lack of utility at times to clear you out of some of those positions. A similar purchase for both. And we go back, noses to the grindstone, to see if GX can potentially carve out a lead for themselves here, which translates into a second half advantage. It's the first round in 4, which Eternal Fire have actually lost.
Anima, the sole player to either fake out towards B. The problem is, if that is the case, Hazza, is you've got the mid-rounding from Cloud if needed.
And if Eternal Fire execute now, a really strong off angle from West Side. He was using these crazy walls quite a lot yesterday to great effect. And it's about 5 or 10 seconds now before this one is going to decay. There it goes.
So, GiantX have to hold 3 strong towards A, as Eternal Fire are still waiting for an opportunity to send this one forward. The smoke's doing their job to delay, but this feels like the opportune moment. The gap that you've been waiting for, but straight away an orb in your face, and the utility denied. Trying to get back, Eternal Fire can't even get out. 30-second mark is already well past, and as the players try to get into the site, they're completely denied. GiantX look to get up to 6 right now, as there are 4 players up and only 1 on Eternal Fire's side. It's Izzy the captain, but it's a lost ship. GiantX will at least be even on the half.
And this is now where they have a chance to continue building that lead. Eternal Fire putting money into it, but now back on another eco where they just didn't bait out enough utility early here, Cairo. That's what it is. Flickless immediately responded with the one-way, but then started to bank up a few more of those toxins. Molly comes out, there's slows. And there's just no way to get past. Look, it's great having Izzy dive in there, land his hinder, refract out, but then it's an empty utility belt, and there's no second in.
No second layer, that's exactly it. And it seems as if Eternal Fire might have guessed right here. This time, no waiting around, looking to burst through, and it seems successful for the time being. An opportune moment to get the spike down, but there's bodies in play for GiantX.
Eternal Fire able to crack this one open. Westside playing around the other side of a Brimsmoke by design as GX set up here for a little bit of control. Double from Westside. Grubby on the scene, and with the orbital strike available, he's just going to let it fly. Spear is toasted. Anima already searing on the sides as GX should have a 7th.
Should.
First shot is nice, but 8 HP doesn't help a whole lot. Cloud is ready and waiting, as is Ara, and that is all she wrote.
Fantastic sight hold, right? You try and catch your opponents off guard, but you can see very quickly that GiantX are ready to rotate from the B site towards A. And even when that backside take is being attempted, there's at least 4 bodies for GiantX to trade off one another. And as we've said consistently through yesterday and to today, GiantX, when they have the opportunity to play off one another, there is no team more cerebral than them. So 3 ultimates in play for this defense to push themselves forward on this first half.
It's also another round where it feels like Izzy is out on his own, trying to make so much happen on an agent which we have seen struggles with before. Think of the Vitality game. Their only map conceded in that semi-final. And now here, the biggest test of all. To beat GX in the final and take that trophy home, but it feels like a distant dream at this point in time. I mean, how many rounds do they need from this half? At least 1 more, but 2 would certainly sweeten that deal.
Eternal Fire now combine their forces towards B, but that one flash might just give GiantX the information that they need, and you can see Grabinho coming to reinforce B is alongside his west side. Yeah. So now, I don't think Eternal Fire realise the problems that they've actually got ahead of them.
And look at this, full ability belts as well. As soon as Ara takes this first shot, he has everything left to play with. The blind isn't going to hit him. It is a collateral kill instead. The walls go up, and there is no breaching the gates for Eternal Fire. More of the same problems for this attack side. 12 seconds now. No spike under their control. GiantX up to 8 and doing it with flying colors.
What can Eternal Fire really do here? They've tried the fast plays, they've tried the defaults, and they've tried to play with silence, but unfortunately, GiantX up to 8 could signal doom for Eternal Fire, and that's not what you want on map number 3, the deciding map in a best-of-3 grand final.
Great play from Ara as always, doing exactly what was asked of him on that op. So last chance for Eternal Fire, and honestly, from the rounds we've seen, it was the first one they lost in this streak of 4 that looked most promising. Taking some hookah control then, it's Showers here, just trying to bait anything out of GX in terms of utility. And it's the wall that they will get on this occasion.
I think it's most interesting that we haven't even seen like a second timeout invested here. In fact, have we seen any timeout invested off the top of the back of my head?
Just the one in this first half, if I'm not mistaken. And right now, Eternal Fire with the ults, set up for the A take. Goes quiet. Grubby's kept the molly. Flickler still has his. The Orb's going to go back up and look pretty healthy.
Still a Cosmic Divide off the back of this as well, and it's going to be placed towards backside.
Yeah, incredibly deep. It's heaven, in fact. So this aggressive line held by all members of GX. Rotations coming in, and finally, Eternal Fire shows signs of life. But Grubby is here to stop it. The flash is just perfect. Cloud off the back. Can't deny the spike. It's a 2-on-2. And one which Eternal Fire have to win.
And it's one that Ara has an opt to try and get back into the site. Not the weapon of choice, but can he make it work?
Nade comes in, an attempt to play Grubby through, but Izzy has the line control, and Anima, even with a molly, wants to be there to support should anything go awry. Oh, bang, not going to connect, but Grubby finds his. Oh, Anima! And when asked off, he steps up again. Denied the chance at VCT, but letting them know his name.
Letting him know his quality. Sure, he won't get to play against GiantX next year, or at least for kickoff, let's be honest. He could easily find himself in a team future splits, but the most point here is he gets to play against GiantX now and show his quality.
I mean, this event is his first time on Smokes. The guy's been playing Initiator for the most part. The one that you always look to in those games against BBL Pacific to continue his rivalry with LaRock. But now, right at the forefront of this Eternal Fire comeback attempt, the defense is the better of the sides, but it all starts with the pistol. So much riding on this. And GX making it a quick one.
Oh, Eternal Fire, though, are pretty strong here in terms of the engagements they have. It's not looking great, but it is Skylan once again who takes things into his own hands. Ara's right clicks. Is that enough? As it goes to 1 versus 1, Grubinho with a ghost in a hand and the spike on his back.
Both given time to play here. And just waiting for that star to come up for Sturban. Grubby's going to search this one out, and it might just be the 1v1 in spawn.
Sturban looks away at the wrong time.
Spotted.
Just seen the foot. It's betrayed Grubinho as he tries to get into CT. But the clear, Sturban knows. There it is. Collects the pistol round and will bring Eternal Fire back into this grand final.
Very similarly to what we saw on Sunset, it's another Eternal Fire player winning a clutch for them on a pistol round. And that just stops this from being GX's map outright, because with that you expect them to move up to 10. It's not going to take much to win this one now, but the gap can very quickly close up, and there will be no force from the attack side here.
Well, I mean, Sheriffs and Heavy Shields, we know how that one can go, mate. Don't want to make the same mistakes as your opponents. And it seems if Sturban well aware of the problems ahead of him, especially with nades and utility put on front of him, actually respecting everything sent forward. Is he able to escape into a smoke, but is quite low, and that's a problem, because he needs to be able to take fights.
Yeah, it's a very conservative use of the refract there from Izzy as well, just to maintain this as a 5 versus 4. GX can play off one another here in post, and they have stall, so that's a real issue.
And look at this, GiantX want to keep fighting forward, but when they do, Sturban and the rest of Eternal Fire have what it takes to close out the round. So their lead halved and Eternal Fire into a bonus.
Yeah, things kept as close as they could be here. GX just sat on a 2-round cushion. I like their idea to try and fight for backside there rather than just sit and wait for Eternal Fire to be the aggressors. It was a great counter flash, I believe, from Skylan that actually stopped that from being a bigger issue. And now the bonus for the Fire. An opportunity to really kick on. And once again, you're seeing this pack trying to get active in B long. That's exactly where GX want to go.
4. That's insane, to commit towards one position. I know it's the bonus round, but my God, the timing almost there. The Hinder not exactly catching everybody that they wanted to.
Oh my
and
God.
both teams just flinging everything but the kitchen sink at each other, and they walk away with no kills. Grubinho will at least, so the entry got.
Yeah, really nice timing from Grubinho, spotting an opening. Everyone was blind. And it leaves Sturban, the sole defender of A, with only a ghost to his name.
Players sending it towards A now. The rifles spamming through the smoke.
Oh!
Sturban pushed out by the wall, and you having to use the grab well early, which might be a problem later in the round.
Oh, it has decayed Cloud, but no spike denial.
Well,
4v4, and Seeker's here for Eternal Fire.
Yeah, at least Flickless off the board, so that's a big bit of delay gone, right? That decay, those mollies, they're gone, and now the players in towards trying to get this retake working, but Cloud spamming away and getting the kills that are needed. Eternal Fire, they've not kicked in a spear! And he could have just won the round. Grabinho's molly already used. The spike halved at least, but Grubby off the board, and yeah, with the molly not hitting, there was never really any worry for Eternal Fire. It just came down to gunfights and one round between the two.
The 18-year-old keeps this grand final going with such a big 4K. Cloud felt like the star of the show up until that point. His defensive lamps brilliant. Not to mention the flashes, which otherwise had stopped Eternal Fire from having the lay of the land. But Spear just backs himself to the nth degree, and even with heads turned, those are still very difficult shots to hit consecutively.
Well, it'll be a round to look back at retrospectively, Hazard. Is that the round that has brought Eternal Fire right back into this one? Or will the defense rue the day?
That does feel like a watershed moment, at least for the time being. Eternal Fire still one round behind, and you play every single one of those in Valorant. There are no givens. We know how good these GX ecos can look, but no way in as it stands. And Izzy might just have found the back door. Very deep control on A.
He has, and he's continuing to move up showers at the moment, but nobody really coming off. It seems as if they're going to hit the TP.
Yeah, and that's where Izzy now comes into action. Flash doesn't catch him. Outlaw in his hands. And GX walking right into this, but the shot's not hitting.
Yeah, there is a little bit of delay though. The players are out of shot for GiantX.
Eternal Fire still with that Thrash to fall back on in retake. Arrow with an ult of their own. GX have managed to bring this to post 5 versus 5, and so you start to feel like they have a chance here, taking up position behind the wall.
Yeah, you don't actually
Flickless
hate this post plan either. So GiantX with that shot could put themselves right into the position that they need to.
You've really got to stick your neck on the line to clear out these numbers. Playing from the triple box, Skyland gets on the board and doubles up again as well. The plant is open, but the mollies are out, and GX are going to bleed this time bank to the final grains of sand in the bottom of that hourglass, as Flickless is just shattering the hopes and dreams of Eternal Fire. Had to be a full stick. It isn't anymore. That's the thrifty round that GX were looking for.
Eternal Fire may have just slipped up. We said it could be a watershed moment in this series. But GX, with something out of nothing, I mean, didn't even have to use the showstopper, which what I was thinking was the ace up the sleeve in the post plant. So Ara now moves into the next one even stronger. Rifles being bought up. Eternal Fire need to be careful, as once again the spam sent their way.
We've just not seen the strength of post plant which GiantX have be a factor up until the last couple of rounds, have we?
No.
When they've been winning, it's been outright. Or I should say, they haven't been winning. Eternal Fire are stopping them before they get to that point. And now, the landscape of this game has been altered. Eternal Fire have numbers towards B, but where they lack a Viper in this composition, GX should be able to satchel through with that showstopper on Arrow as well.
I like this from Eternal Fire. Already pushed all the way up a shot. In prime position to rotate if needed. GiantX maybe being a little bit too easy to read here as Eternal Fire are the first ones on the kill feed. Where is that Cloud being able to combine off the grab? Well, we are somewhat even as Grabinho tries to hold to Hookah, can't do it, and it's now up to the players on site.
Looking at whether GiantX want to flip the map here. They know about at least one of those defenders flanking. The other is Izzy from Long.
So Cloud looks to Hookah, finds himself probably one of the best spots on the site.
Doesn't know.
Does Izzy clear? He does!
Messi!
But doesn't win the fight! So Sterben on 8 HP has to find 2. An impossible task, it would seem. Only one start, and the reposition from Ara looks good. A stun which will not connect, and Cloud with 4 has a... I don't even think he should have got the last 2 there at all.
No, Izzy's missed an opportunity, a huge one, as have the rest of his side in the last couple of rounds.
That grab was unbelievable.
And there isn't an Astra on GX.
Yeah.
It was from Eternal Fire. So more mistakes being made here. And the pressure is getting to them. I was speaking earlier about the experience that they have on this team. Sterben, Skylan, and it's the Astra there who's finished second 5 times since 2021, trophyless since then with Foot, that might just be handed another silver medal.
GiantX looking to potentially collect a trophy which feels somewhat deserved since this roster's been made. An accolade which is deserving of these, what was split 2 rookies.
Anima getting caught there. GiantX starting to move through the site now with a bit more velocity, but as soon as they get into post, you know exactly what the state of the game is. Eternal Fire haven't been fighting these choke points to deny it, but Skylan has half a chance here. One which he fails to take.
Yeah, and you look at the post plant now, you've got that Brimstone still up, the Viper as well, and an ultimate to boot on the Brimstone, so it should be clear cut. It should be a GiantX win.
Should is the operative word in the statement. Eternal Fire would love an eco here. It might just be enough to lift the spirits and make them believe again. Skylan, the one to incite the violence, but it's mostly on the GX side of things. Try as he might, there's little left in this game now. 11-7. GX just 2 rounds away from the title.
2 rounds from winning the Blender trophy. I think the biggest thing here from this right now is that GiantX just look like the tier 1 team. They look like the experienced one. Izzy is one off of his Whaley ultimate, and it has been effective most of the time. He does have his operator as well. He has everything that he should need, as well as the ultimates on his initiators as well.
Flash to set up Izzy here, but needs the herd of Seekers to be broken. Skylan unable to offer that kind of support here as he's been so impactful in the last couple of rounds, yet still unable to deliver that win.
The wall not allowing the 2 remaining players at the back of site to get on to deny this spike plant, so we're once again in a very strong GiantX post plant.
And still, Grubby's been able to bank on that Brim ult as well. I'm not sure if the molly's online. Sure, Spear has the wingman, but GX with the better of the tools, the stronger of the win conditions, and Eternal Fire need this.
They do, or it will be a long road back to overtime. Gonna invest the Cosmic Divide to get onto the spike, but the players playing in front of it. West side most importantly. Clouds flash out of the wall. Does end up going Eternal Fire's way momentarily, but with 2 controllers left, and 2 of the most important on GiantX's side, they will push themselves to map, series, and championship point.
Does still feel like Eternal Fire haven't figured out what their win condition is on this defender's side, and so one last chance to talk to the coach before they are out in this one alone. I still find it crazy that they're not fighting for these choke points a little bit more heavy, Cairo. I understand the reasons for wanting to take extremity control. I think the Waylay is almost the perfect agent to do that, especially with the operator. But as soon as you give GX an access to play post here, that's the round all but done in my eyes.
So Eternal Fire will use the last card up their sleeve, a timeout. One which, I mean, if you're John Siphaza, what do you really say to your team? Because it's got to be about settling them and saying, one round at a time, guys. Still, though, GiantX, if they want to win this, you've got Pips in now saying, listen, guys, you have Viper Ultimate, you have Brimstone Ultimate, you have Rez if you really need it. You have all the tools that you need to win out this whole tournament.
You can still really see that for GiantX, their priority is the A finish. Multiple lanes with that open plant, enabled by the Sage Wall to give them the opportunity to win it outright. And so begins the stretch of 5 rounds or so. Eternal Fire would be hoping if they have any chance in this one. Izzy's going to make a solo play to start. Refract is active, but it does get plenty of players in through sand, and actually GX are looking to take spawn control themselves.
Yeah, and Ara's done so successfully. So spike down a post plant, which is really difficult to try and get through, especially with this Viper's pit down.
First couple fights are absolutely everything. Ara slipped through the net, and he's going to catch these players in rotation if the Seekers don't stop him first, at the very least, wedging himself between the rest of Eternal Fire and getting onto the spike defusal. Izzy pops up, finally when needed. 5 versus 3 situation, but time is still the biggest enemy of the Fire. Trying to fight through the flames. It's Westside watching over this, and they're just melting beneath the bright lights. Westside again strikes the heart of Eternal Fire, and that's going to be it for the off-season. Your Project Blender champions through the fire, finally cast in gold, GiantX.
I mean, there's not much else that can be said.